Now, this week, as I was saying before, we're going to be working on our class number six, or the week number six, right? We're going to have two classes, but the first class is focused on, well, it's called Now and Then, right? And it's going to be focused on a little bit on the generational gap. Do you know what is the meaning of a generation, or generational gap? What is the meaning of gap?
Brecha generacional.
Yeah, very good, excellent. So we have different differences, right, between the different generations. And for that reason, we're going to watch a video right here. Where is it? It's right here. Yes, we're going to watch a video which is precisely about that. It's preventing the generational stereotypes at work, right? So let's watch it. And if you have any questions in vocabulary or something, let me know at the end, okay? But I am not sharing the sound. Sorry. Wait. Sharing the sound. Oh, that's it, right? So let's listen and watch the video.
In this week's Training Minute, we are going to discuss the topic of generational stereotypes. The objective of this minute is to recognize generational stereotypes in order to prevent them. There are many stereotypes about the baby boomers, Generation X, Generation Y, and Generation Z. These stereotypes also affect the workplace. Among the stereotypes often heard are those that state that baby boomers are less comfortable with technology. Gen Xers are less loyal to their companies. Gen Ys are lazier. Gen Zs are narcissists. Nevertheless, studies have shown that there is no real difference in values or preferences between generations. There are differences between individuals in their needs, interests, preferences, and strengths. However, these individual differences do not characterize an entire generation. Thus, even if several people of the same age have a trait in common, this does not imply that this is the case for the whole generation. On the other hand, the belief that generational differences exist can be detrimental to a work team. These beliefs can hinder collaboration between colleagues and impair the management and training of employees. Here are some tips to help you build a work environment free of generational stereotypes. Avoid judging a candidate in a job interview based on age.
Well, in that case, we already don't care about that part because that's like based on some tips for working with different kind of generations. But I was more interested in the first part, in which they depict in which they show the difference between generations. No, so we have four different types or four different generations that we state here. Which one were they? Do you remember what were the four?
Baby boomer,
Yes. Uh-huh.
generation X, Y, and Z.
Exactly. So we have baby boomers, which are kind of our parents or our grandparents, right? The Generation X, which is probably like me, Generation Y, which is people from 20s, and Generation Z or Generation Z, which is like the people who are in this moment are teenagers, right? So there are different differences or different characteristics among all of these generations, no? They stated some of them here. What was the characteristic of the baby boomers? Do you remember what was the characteristic that they presented about the baby boomers?
They don't know how to use technology.
They are not so close with technology, for example. That was the characteristic that they mentioned. Do you think that's true or not? Is that true?
It's true
It's true,
in
yes.
the majority of cases.
In most of the cases, most of the
In
cases.
most of the cases.
Yes, of course. If you tell your grandpa to ask something to ChatGPT, he's not going to know anything about it. Or probably a little bit, but not so much. Okay, very good. They mentioned something about Generation X. What was it?
They are not loyal.
Yeah, exactly. That they are not that loyal to the companies, right? I think that's not true. I have been working in this company for almost 11 years. That is loyalty, right? I don't know. So in this case, guys, what I want you to show you, what I want to show you is that we have different characteristics among different kinds of people. If we make a comparison between Latin Americans and Europeans, we're going to find either way different kinds of characteristics. That the Europeans are more organized, we are more, a little bit warmer. What is the meaning of warmer? I mean, when we talk about personality, what is the meaning of warmer?
Más amables.
Yeah, exactly. It's a synonym of kinder, right? Which is like a person who's close to the other people, who likes more sociable, to talk to the other people, attend to the other people's needs. So probably we're going to find that we are like that, while the Europeans are more organized, more responsible, more punctual, right? So something that we're going to do today is work on our contrast, right? And working in our contrast, it's going to be done by using first expressions that show difference between the past and the present. Here we're going to find out that we have two expressions for talking about past habits. Past habits. Ready? The first one is the expression used to. Do you remember what is the meaning of used to?
Solía.
Solía, very good. No difference with subject. Anyway, any subject, it's going to be exactly the same. You just have to use subject, used to, and then after to, what do we have usually after to? A verb in what form?
Infinitive?
Infinitive, right? Very good. When we have a verb after to, the verb it's usually 99% of the times in infinitive, right? So we're going to say that, for example, my grandpa, he used to smoke his pipe. No. And that is showing a difference because, for example, well, my grandpa used to smoke his pipe. My father used to smoke cigarettes, and I don't smoke, right? So in that case, there is showing a difference between the generations, no? How we have changed. Before, the people used to do other things, no? For example, how did the people used to communicate?
With letters. Um, Grandparents used to communicate with
For
letters.
example, or we can call them boomers, which we already know that are the generation of the old people, no? So boomers used to communicate, yes, used to communicate, wait, sorry, used to communicate with letters, right? But for example, well, I think Erika maybe, and me, and probably maybe Yesenia. Do you remember Messenger? The Messenger, but not the Messenger of Facebook, the new one, the old Messenger, the one in the 2000,
El de
2010.
Hotmail.
Is it that one? Do you remember? ¿Lo alcanzaron a usar?
Yes,
Yes or
teacher.
no? Yes, do you, Paul? Sí.
Yes, teacher.
Oh, yeah, okay, very good. So in that case, for example, in the past, we didn't used to communicate with WhatsApp. We used to talk with our friends with Messenger, no? So that's another difference. Now it's not really used. Now people usually text about over WhatsApp or Telegram, maybe Instagram, maybe, right? But no, people don't really use Messenger anymore, or not so much, right? And in the same way, we can talk about, for example, what is this artifact? What is the meaning of this thing?
A
Telephone?
Telephone, right? Which is not the same as this one, no? Because what is the name of this one? The one that you have in your
Cellphone.
pocket. Cell phone, and especially it's a
Smartphone?
smartphone.
smartphone. Very good. That one is a smartphone. That is what we use for communicating, but our grandparents or my parents, they used to communicate with telephones. So they used to call people with telephones, not with the smartphones, but with telephones, right? So when we use the expression used to, we are talking about a contrast between the past and the present. In the same way, we can use the modal verb would. Normalmente sabemos que would lo que hace es una situación imaginaria. Cuando yo digo haría tal cosa, comería, iría, tendría, whatever, ¿cierto? But when I use this would in a past context, it's going to depict, it's going to show, it's going to describe a past habit. For example, when I say, in 2010, I would play video games every afternoon with my brother. That would, let's say, with my brother. That would, in this case, is not talking about an imaginary situation. It's doing exactly the same that it's doing used to. So in this case, I would say, en el 2010 yo jugaba videojuegos con mi hermano todas las tardes. Jugaba. It's a past habit. But when I use it with would, plus a past context, the past context, of course, is in 2010, then it's not going to be ia, like jugaría. No, in this case, it's jugaba. It's a past habit, it's a custom of the past, but used with would, okay? What is the difference between using used to and would? Used to, you can use it with all the verbs. But would, it's more limited for the action verbs. Any idea what are the action verbs? ¿Alguien recuerda o sabe qué son los action verbs? Maybe? Any ideas?
Como dance,
Do.
swim, jump.
Sí, todos los que dijeron do, dance, swim, jump, todos son verbos de acción. Ahora, ¿qué son verbos de acción? Pues como el nombre lo dice, son verbos que requieren un movimiento. Es decir, una acción donde el cuerpo debe moverse para realizar tal acción. Nadar, saltar, comer, jugar, son verbos de acción, right? Profe, ¿y cuáles son los otros de los otros? Los stative verbs. ¿Listo? Stative verbs son verbos de estado, es decir, que no necesariamente necesitan o son una acción que requiera un movimiento. Por ejemplo, think. What is the meaning of think?
Pensar.
Pensar. Para pensar yo no me tengo que mover, ¿cierto? Yo puedo estar así quietico y estoy pensando. Eso es un stative verb. O, for example, know. What is the meaning of know?
Saber.
O conocer,
Saber
¿cierto?
o conocer.
Exacto. Entonces, es una acción que no requiere que yo me mueva. Ah, I don't know. O I know it. Pero no me estoy moviendo. Para saber o para conocer no necesito moverme. O, for example, have. Todos sabemos que obviamente have es tener. When I say I have two brothers, pues yo tengo dos hermanos, pero no me tengo que mover para ello. Entonces, ese tipo de acciones son stative verbs y las otras pues son action verbs. Con used to puedo usar los dos, stative verbs and action verbs. Pero con would normalmente lo hago para, o lo uso en este contexto para los action verbs, right? No se ve mucho que yo diga, por ejemplo, I would have, no sé, I would have two brothers. No porque es un stative verb. Entonces, lo uso más que todo para cuando voy a usar action verbs en el pasado. Ejemplo, acá tengo el verbo play, jugar y especially jugar videojuegos. Es un action verb, claramente, ¿cierto? Entonces puedo decir, in 2010, I would play every afternoon with my bro. O, in 2010, I used to play video games every afternoon with my bro. And it's fine, right? But, for example, if I say another example, it's like, in school, I have two puppies. What is the meaning of puppies?
Mascotas.
Especially
Perros.
perritos, cachorritos. Muy bien, cachorritos, right? Good. Entonces, in that case, what do you think? Would or used to? O los dos, o what do you
Used
think?
to.
Used to.
Used to, claro,
Porque have
porque
no es de acción.
Exactamente, porque have no es de acción, sino es un stative verb. Entonces, in school I used to have two puppies. Cambio aquí que el verbo es play, puedo usar cualquiera de los dos. I would play o I used to play every afternoon with my brother. Ready? Clear the difference between used to and would, and clear the use of would for the past.
Yes, teacher, it's clear.
Very
O
good.
sea que would nada más con los verbos de acción y, o sea, pues tiene que haber como esa claridad de que fue en el pasado, como la fecha pasada, ¿no? Para poder
Claro,
usar el
Gaby. Digamos que cuando lo uso para esto de los past habits, tiene que haber la claridad de que fue en el pasado. Example, in 2010. Porque si yo lo dejo como así normal, y yo digo, I would play with my bro, I would play video games with my bro, ¿cierto? En este caso, que no estoy especificando que es en el pasado, se puede interpretar como una situación hipotética. Pues yo jugaría con mi hermano, ¿cierto? Pero si yo veo que hay un contexto del pasado, ya sé que no estoy hablando de un ia, yo jugaría, sino de un aba, yo jugaba con mi hermano, right? Entonces, that's the difference between putting the example, the complement of time and not putting the complement of time, ¿ok?
Ok, teacher.
Listo, very good. Y sí, como lo dijiste al inicio, el would únicamente con los action verbs y used to con ambos, tanto con stative verbs como con los action verbs también, ¿vale? Bueno, muy bien, very good. So, I'm going to erase this part, tin, 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 tin. Quickly, quickly, quickly. Voy a dejar el tablero acá en limpio, ya saben que pueden usar aquí el annotate para escribir con la T a la izquierda, recuerden que ahí aparece el lapicito, pueden escribir. Write down one habit that you had before in school or in pandemic, for example. One habit that you had in the past that you don't do anymore. For example, I'm going to write it down here. I said that in 2020, that it was the pandemic, yes, I would I would exercise at home every day. I would exercise at home every day. Yeah, I would exercise because, of course, exercise is an action verb. And of course, that in that case, I'm saying in 2020. So I know that it was a habit in the past. Or I could say, for example, during the pandemic, during the quarantine, comma, I would exercise at home every day. That's another possibility. This is the complement of time. Ready? I would like to know about you. What do you know? What one habit that you had before? Si quieren lo pueden escribir ahí con el lapicito o acá con la T de texto, como quieran. Ahí está el tablero. You can write it down.
Yo, pero lo puedo
Dale.
decir.
Sí, también dale si quieres, of course.
Bueno, in pandemic,
Okay.
¿sí? In
Yes.
pandemia, I will play parches at night. Bueno, todas las noches, at night, all night.
I would play parches. Se volvió muy famoso, ¿no? In pandemic, it was very, very typical. A ver, come on. Entonces, in pandemic. Ah, shoot. Bueno, anyway, I'm going to write it down. Voy a escribirlo. And that's fine. Ready? Okay, okay. Alguien está escribiendo, sigan escribiendo, tranquilos, no problem. Voy a escribir con el otro lapicito. Entonces, in pandemic, I would play parches. You said every night?
Yes.
Every night. Muy bien. ¿Online o with your family at home?
No, online,
Online.
with
Listo.
my
Muy bien.
family.
Okay. Very good, very good. Listo. Cami, where are you going to participate?
Una pregunta.
Yeah, of course.
Yo tenía entendido, o bueno, yo lo pensaba así, que yo podía usar used to así sin especificar un tiempo, porque ya como que uno sabía que used to es yo solía, entonces uno lo relaciona con el pasado. Entonces yo puedo decir, por ejemplo, I used to watch movies every afternoon. Entonces es necesario que yo especifique, por ejemplo, when I was a child, I used to watch TV every afternoon.
Espérame, escribimos el ejemplo acá y ya te respondo. I used to watch TV every afternoon. Listo, Cami. Con used to no necesariamente tienes que especificar, porque como tú lo dijiste, used to siempre será para el pasado. Bueno, siempre que el use esté en pasado, ¿cierto? Entonces ahí no hay necesidad de especificar. I used to watch TV every afternoon. No se sabe exactamente cuándo, pero sabemos que es algo que solías hacer. Pero con would sí es necesario hacer la explicación. ¿Listo? ¿Por qué? Porque con would sí se puede malinterpretar y, como te dije, si yo dejo una oración con would sin complemento de tiempo, pues quedaría como una situación hipotética. Si yo usara I would watch TV every afternoon, sin tiempo, sin especificar qué es en el pasado, entonces quedaría como que yo vería televisión cada tarde en una situación. Por ejemplo, si yo no trabajara, vería televisión toda la tarde, ¿sí? Lo podría hacer usando would sin el complemento de tiempo, ¿sí? Pero cuando yo coloco el complemento de tiempo solo con would, ahí es cuando lo uso en el pasado. Pero con used to no es necesario porque como tú lo dijiste, used to siempre va a ser para el pasado, o sea, para describir algo que solías hacer. ¿Listo?
Okay, teacher.
Perfecto. Yesenia, question.
Teacher, ahora me quedó una duda respecto a eso.
Claro, of course.
Y vamos a suponer que yo uso used to con verbo de acción. ¿También se puede?
Claro, of course. Used to lo puedes usar con los dos verbos, con verbos de acción o con stative verbs.
Ok, perfecto. Solamente es
¿Listo? Solamente es con would que hay como la
una
restricción.
otra manera de decirlo usando would.
Exactamente.
¿Cómo así?
Exactamente. Sorry again.
Es que no entiendo muy bien. Vuelvo a la pregunta. Vamos a suponer, uso de used to con verbo de acción. También se puede.
Sí.
No, no tiene que ser con would. No importa. También se puede
No,
usar el used to. Ok,
exactamente. Sí, lo puedes usar
perfecto.
con would.
Gracias.
Lo que sí, digamos que no puedes hacer es usar con would un verbo de stative o un verbo de estado. Por ejemplo, I would think o I would know, porque son verbos de estado y eso solamente se usan con used to. Eso es lo que no se puede hacer, ¿vale?
Sí, listo.
¿Listo? Very good. Excellent. Bueno, por aquí sepa que todavía juega Parchís. Qué bueno, very good. Sí, es una buenas herramientas para entretener. Acá dice, in school I would sing the songs of Patito Feo. Muy bien, very good. That's great. That was a beautiful what? A beautiful habit in the past. Bueno, por aquí, when I was 10 years old, I used to watch Turkish soap operas. No fregues de verdad, o sea, como Elif y todas esas, ¿cierto? Turkish soap opera. Ok, Johan, pregunta, question.
Hello, teacher. Good
Hello,
night.
Juan.
Excuse me, teacher. I arrived a little bit late. So, can you tell me what is the topic from today and
Claro,
homework?
of course, don't worry. We're talking about contrast, and especially contrast in the past and present, differences between our past and present. So we are using the expression used to, which you know, which is about past habits, solía. Simple. Always after to, we have a verb in infinitive. I used to watch, I used to watch. No tiene que ser siempre watch, puede ser cualquiera, ¿cierto? But en este caso, casualidad, dieron ambas I used to watch, ¿cierto? I used to watch TV, I used to watch Turkish soap operas, bien. Pero digamos que lo que estamos viendo hoy es esta posibilidad de incluir would como una forma de describir también un hábito en el pasado, pero se hace solo con los verbos de acción. Entonces, por ejemplo, I would sing. ¿Por qué? Porque para cantar, digamos que los verbos de acción son verbos que requieren un movimiento corporal. Ejemplo, I would exercise. El ejercicio requiere que yo me mueva. I would play parchís, requiere un movimiento. I would sing the songs of Patito Feo. ¿Yes? Entonces, en ese caso, cuando uso would para describir una situación en el pasado o un hábito en el pasado, tengo que tener en cuenta dos cosas, que el verbo sea un verbo de acción y dos, que incluya yo el complemento de tiempo, es decir, especificando cuándo. Por ejemplo, acá, Erika especificaba en la pandemia, yo jugaba parques todas las noches. Yo dije, en el 2020, o sea, durante la cuarentena, yo me ejercitaba en casa todos los días, right? O, por ejemplo, Paula dijo, en el colegio yo cantaba las canciones de Patito Feo. Eso lo hago, es lo que hago con would y el verbo siguiente si es en el pasado. In the school, in 2020, in pandemic. So, Johan, ready?
Okay, teacher.
Hasta ahí,
Clear.
hasta el momento no hemos visto nada más, right? Entonces, that's it. Bueno, por aquí alguien más colocó, when I was 10 years old, I would go to dance classes twice a week. Vea,
Pero me
pues,
queda una
very
duda.
good. Dime, of course.
O sea que con used to no es necesario especificar el pasado.
No, porque con used to ya se sabe que hace parte de algo que solías hacer, pero ya no. Lo único es que si no lo especificas, pues yo, por ejemplo, acá digo, ah, bueno, Camila solía ver tele todas las tardes, pero no sé exactamente cuándo.
Ok.
Right? Esa es la cuestión. Si ella me dice, no, pues en el colegio, o el año pasado, o hace 5 años, no sé, whatever. Pero en este caso, yo sé que lo hacía y ahora no lo hace, pero no sé exactamente cuándo lo hacía. En cambio, en los otros casos sí, porque pues digamos que incluimos el contexto, el complemento de tiempo. ¿Listo? ¿Ready? Any
Listo.
other question? Hasta ahí, ¿alguna otra pregunta, guys? Problems, difficulties?
No, teacher.
Qualify. Listo, muy bien, very good. Entonces, these questions, or sorry, these comparisons that we have here are made using used to and would, used to and would. And it's a contrast. It's a contrast between the past and the present, right? Entonces, it's a contrast, it's a difference. But it's not the only way that we have for expressing contrast. This is only way, one way, when we want to compare the past and the present, right? Generations. My grandpa used to talk about, he used to call people with a telephone. Now I call people with my smartphone. My grandpa used to smoke his pipe. Now I don't smoke, right? My grandpa used to communicate with letters. Now I communicate with my smartphone, right? So it's a contrast between the past and the present. But if the contrast is between, for example, two people in the present, I cannot use these expressions because these expressions are, as I said, contrasting before and now, before and now. But if I want to compare two people in the present, for example, I want to compare Johan and Jesus. I want to compare Erika and Jesenia, maybe, for example. I can create contrast, but not with these expressions. For that thing, I am going to use other expressions. And here we have these four: while, whereas, unlike, and in contrast. Ready? What is the meaning of while?
Mientras,
Mientras tanto.
Mientras, very good. O mientras tanto, very good. Whereas, what is the meaning of that? It's a synonym, right? Es un sinónimo. While and whereas, it's the same. Es un sinónimo simplemente, right? Mientras. And we have unlike and in contrast. Yes, what is the meaning of in contrast?
un contraste.
En contraste a, very good. And what is the meaning of unlike?
A diferencia
A
de.
diferencia de, very good. So these expressions are going to help me to compare and say, this person is very relaxed, but this person is very stressed, right? This person is really tall, but this person is really short. I'm making a contrast, yeah? So for doing that, I have both possibilities. While, whereas, and on the other hand, unlike and in contrast. Yes, they are connectors. And as you know, as these connectors, they already know, they can begin the sentence using both expressions separated with a comma, or I can use it, sentence number one, connector, sentence number two. It depends on how do you want to do it. But the difference here is that when I have while and whereas, I am going to follow that with a complete sentence. Subject, verb, and complement. While when we have unlike and in contrast, we follow this expression or these connectors with a noun phrase. Ya hemos visto varias veces que es un noun phrase, pero estoy seguro que tal vez no se acuerdan. ¿Alguien recuerda que es un noun phrase o una frase nominal? Es tiene un nombre complicado, pero es algo muy sencillo. ¿Alguien recuerda qué es un noun phrase? ¿A qué le suena? Maybe, noun phrase. Suena muy complicado, pero no lo es, don't worry.
Es como. Ay, no sé cómo explicarlo. Pero como que hablan, digamos, del sujeto como tal. O sea, como que es lo más importante, digamos. La chica, quién, tal cosa o algo así.
Ok,
No
por ahí
sé,
va,
no
por
sé
ahí
cómo
va.
explicarlo.
Muy bien, Pau. Entonces, una frase nominal es simplemente una oración que no tiene verbo, que está compuesta únicamente por sustantivos y tal vez adjetivos, pero no tiene verbo. ¿Listo? En cambio, esta es una oración completa, que está compuesta por sujeto, verbo y complemento. Un ejemplo. I have the lion and I have the rabbit. This one, it's carnivorous, while this one, it's herbivorous, right? So I can say, for example, that while the lion is carnivorous, comma, the rabbit is herbivorous, ¿cierto? Ambas oraciones son completas. La oración que está después de while o whereas, cualquiera la que quieras usar, whereas o while, es una oración completa. The lion eats carnivorous. Subject, verb, and complement. Y en el otro lado, igual, subject, verb, and complement, right? With unlike and in contrast, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be much shorter. I am not going to say a diferencia de que el conejo es herbívoro. No, I'm just going to say a diferencia del conejo, el león es carnívoro. Es decir, después de estas dos no tengo que incluir toda la oración completa, simplemente el noun, o sea, el sujeto de la oración, right? So I'm going to say, for example, that the lion is carnivorous, unlike, y aquí quedaría solo, unlike the rabbit. Simplemente voy a incluir el noun phrase. El noun phrase puede ser una sola palabra o pueden ser 4 palabras. Simplemente es el sujeto de la oración, right? Acá solamente son 2 palabras. ¿Cuándo puede ser muchas palabras? Cuando yo puedo tener un sujeto muy complicado. Por ejemplo, si yo puedo colocar the beautiful gray rabbit. Ya no es solo el conejito, sino el hermoso conejito gris. Ahí ya se complica. No digamos que no se complica, sino se extiende un poquito el noun phrase, pero es exactamente lo mismo. Es una oración que no tiene verbo, solamente el sustantivo. ¿Vale? Y funciona exactamente igual que en español. Cuando digo, encontraste al conejito, solo así cortico, el león es carnívoro, ¿cierto? En contraste o a diferencia de. Mientras que cuando yo uso justamente mientras, ¿sí? Ahí sí voy a tener que incluir toda la oración completa, ¿vale? Entonces, another difference. For example, vamos a borrar acá, another difference. The lion, it's big. And the rabbit is small. A ver, somebody create the difference, got the sentence complete with that difference. The lion is big, the rabbit is small. How could you compare those two contrasts?
The lion is big, whereas, ¿qué es whereas?
Whereas, ese es un sinónimo de while, o sea, mientras.
Whereas is small.
¿Quién es small?
Oh, the rabbit
Is
is
small, ¿cierto?
small.
Muy bien, very good. The lion is big, whereas the rabbit is small. Muy bien, ambas oraciones completas. ¿Alguna otra posibilidad? Any other possibility?
Yes, teacher, I have one.
Yes.
The rabbit is small, in contrast, the lion.
In contrast to, ahí me faltó in contrast to,
Ah,
sorry. In
In
contrast
contrast
to,
to the lion.
perfecto, very good. So, the rabbit is small in contrast to the lion. Significa que implícitamente estoy diciendo que el león es grande. Me dice que en contraste al león, o sea, que es todo lo opuesto. Y lo opuesto de pequeño, pues, es grande, ¿cierto? Entonces, in contrast to the lion, the rabbit is small. O, como lo dijo Johan, the rabbit is small in contrast to the lion. Recuerden que como conectores tienen las dos posibilidades. Al inicio, separado por comas, o en la mitad sin necesidad de usar comas, ¿vale? ¿Cómo vamos hasta ahí? Fine, questions, problems.
Fine, teacher.
Listo, muy bien, very good. This can be also used for talking about the difference that you mentioned before. For example, I can say, unlike 2020, unlike in 2020, unlike in 2020, right? Comma, now I don't exercise every day, so I don't have the time. I don't exercise every day. Significa que in 2020, I used to. I exercise every day, but then I said, unlike in 2020, now I don't exercise every day. Or for example, while in 2020, I used to exercise every day, comma, now I don't have the time. And I am comparing the same. But I can also use it not only for time, because for time we already have would and used to, but I can do it with people. For example, here we have these two guys, right? And then we have this guy, let's call it Jesus. This one it's Jesus, and this one is Jesus, right? And this one is Johan, right? Hey, why not? What can you tell me about these two guys? How can you compare these guys and show me, teacher, the difference is this and that, this and that? What difference do you identify there?
Jesus used used to wear, ¿sí? No, use, sí, use, ¿cómo digo? Usar ropa formal.
Okay, so
Use,
wears formal clothes.
okay. Eh, why John is más casual.
Very good. So Jesus wears formal clothes while Johan is more casual. Completo, ¿cierto? Una oración completa. Claro, podría, si yo cambiara el conector, podría decir que Jesus wears formal clothes, unlike Johan. Y ya está. En este caso, Johan es el noun phrase, solo el nombre. That's it, Johan, that's it, right? Entonces, mucho más sencillo. Cualquiera de las dos opciones es muy, muy bien hecha. Ready? Listo. Any other difference between them?
Me, teacher.
Ajá.
Johan is rude, unlike Jesus.
Okay, Johan is rude, unlike Jesus, right? Claro que rude, sí, it could be rude, right? But also could be grosero. But in that case, of course, we are talking about the look, ¿cierto? Of course. Muy bien, very good. Any other possibility? Any other difference that you find out?
Me, teacher. Whereas Jesus have the a white shirt, uh, Joan have a black shirt.
Works very good. Just recommendation has, because it's a third person, yes, okay? So whereas Jesus has a blue shirt, or he has a white shirt, comma, Johan has a black shirt. Listo, perfecto. Jesus, my friend.
Mm, John, Johan, Johan is smoking, unlike Jesus.
Very good. Johan is smoking, unlike Jesus. That's it. He doesn't want to say all the rest of the sentence. Just say, unlike Jesus. That's it. Okay. Muy bien. Any other final one? Or that's it? That's it. No, so very clear the difference. Good. And I can use the same way to make or to clarify differences for talking about the generations. For example, that with the thing that we were doing at the beginning. For example, baby boomers are not so good with technology, unlike the generation Z, right? There is a big difference between the generation sets and the baby boomers. Then I said, baby boomers aren't so good with technology, unlike the Z or the generation Z. What other difference do you find out in that case? Any other difference that you can identify between generations? Try to think. What is different with my grandpa? What is different with my younger brother, for example? that he is more sensible than me, that my mother is more responsible than me, or than the younger people are more emotionally intelligent than the older people, for example. So, what differences can you identify over there?
Me, teacher.
Mm-hmm.
The generation Z, si se dice así,
Z.
Z is more liberal in contrast to generation Y.
Okay, very good. So the generation Z, it's more liberal, in contrast to the generation Y. It's true. That's good. Mhm. What other difference do you identify there, guys?
Yo, teacher.
Uh-huh.
While Generation X spend time working, Generation Z spend time on the cell phones, smartphone.
True, completely true. So why the generation Y spends, porque es generation in general, so spends time working. The generation Z spends time on the cell phones. Muy bien, very good. That's right. Anybody else? Any other differences that you identify? No more, seriously? No more differences with your grandpas, with your child? No? Oh, nothing. What do you think, Jesus? What do you think, Johan? What's the difference between your grandpas and you, or the generation sets and you? What do you think?
Esta fue la que se me ocurrió por ver.
Go ahead, don't worry.
Unlike Generation Z, Generation Y play sopa de letras. No sé
Paddle?
cómo
Sorry, paddle?
paddle. En inglés
Uh-huh.
dice
Very
yes.
good. Okay, very good. That's a difference that I haven't noticed. The Generation Z don't play or doesn't play paddle, right? Muy bien, very good. That's it. Jesus, my friend.
Um, Baby boomers are more have has like a strong opinions about, for example, political and other topics like the Generation Z.
Of course, very good. Of course, because of the age, they have created like a stronger argument, no? So the baby boomers have stronger opinions in different topics, political, religious, and stuff, unlike the Generation Z. Muy bien, very good. Excellent, guys. Entonces, in that case, we are using expressions online, whereas in contrast to while, right? For making contrast, but especially making contrast between two, means one and two. Johan and Jesus, the baby boomers and the Generation Z, the Generation Z and the Generation Y, the past and the present. So we are making contrast between two. But there is another situation in which we don't only have two, but we have more, right? And we can also express contrast between more, talking about exceptions, right? Why? Because, for example, we have a group of 5 people, right? But from the 5 people, one, it's different, yeah? In that case, I can not only use unlike or in contrast to or while, I can use them, fine. But I have other possibility, and it's talking about exceptions, right? Why? Because from the rule, which is that they are red, there is one difference, that it's black, right? So I'm going to use these expressions except that and except for showing that kind of contrast. That it's a contrast not only between 1 and 2, but in a bigger group, yes? Except that and except for have the same difference that we have between unlike or in contrast to and while or whereas. When I have except that, I am going to have a complete sentence, subject, verb, and complement. While when we have except for, I am going to use a noun phrase. Ya, you already know. Ya saben que noun phrase es simplemente un sustantivo, el nombre o el sujeto, right? So in that case, for example, let's say, bueno, Cami, how old are you? I forgot it.
18.
18. Bueno, digamos que para este ejercicio, you are 17, okay? So in that case, I am going to say that we are all, let's say, major, no, sorry. What is the name of that? Oh, we are all major, yes. Yes, majors, right? Except, and what do you think? Except for Camila or except that Camila?
Except for.
Except for, because we are going to use only the noun phrase, right? But if we want to express the rest of the situation, I would say, except that Camila is underage. What is the meaning of underage?
Menor de edad.
Como menor de
Menor de
edad.
edad. Very good. Underage, right? Entonces, aquí es not all, sino all. Oh my God. We are all mayors except that Camila is underage, right? Entonces, I am going to have to describe that contrast in a bigger group, and I have other two possibilities, except that or except for, showing that one of the members is different to the rest, yeah? Let's say, no, Jesus is from Brazil, and the rest of us are Colombian. So we say that we are all Colombian except for Jesus. Or we are all Colombian except that Jesus is Brazilian. That's another possibility. And we can use any kind of verb, yeah? We all go to the gym except that Erica rides bicycle, yeah? We all go to the gym except for Erica. That's it. So we're going to find out the both possibilities in order to describe also contrast, but not between 1 and 2, but in a bigger group, 5, 4, 6, 7, 1 million people. Más o menos, more or less, clear questions over here?
Clear.
Clear, very good, excellent. That's
La
it.
primera también hubiera podido quedar como where are all majors except for Camille.
Exactly like that. That's the way.
Okay.
Exactly like that. Listo. So here we have 5 animals. There is one characteristic in which 4 have the same characteristic and 1 is different. What do you think? We have a raccoon, a wolf, a bird, a tortoise, and a rabbit. What is the characteristic that 4 of them share except for 1 of them?
Mi teacher,
Ajá, ajá.
no estoy segura, pero all animals live in ¿cómo se dice? Tierra,
In the
terrestres,
land, in the land.
in the land, except for the turtle.
Okay, this one is called tortoise because turtle es justamente, no mentiras, ¿cómo es que es al revés? I forgot it. Son dos, tortoise y turtle, pero ahora ya se me olvidó cuál es la del agua. I'm so sorry. Wait. Turtle. A ver, wait a second. Ah, no, sí, turtle is la del agua. Yes, you were right. Sorry, it was my mistake. Tortoise is the one that is on the land. So in that case, all the animals live in the land except for the turtle. And that makes, bueno, that one is the other one, but also, all these animals are mammals except for the turtle, because the turtle eats an oviparous, right? But all the others are mammals. What is the meaning of mammals?
Mamíferos.
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 Very good. So all of them are mammals except for the tortoise. Ready? Entonces, guys, claro, si yo voy a comparar dos, digo, ok, the raccoon is omnivorous, unlike the wolf. Bueno, claro que wolf, I think it's too, but anyway. ¿Sí? Si voy a comparar dos, fine. Si voy a comparar dos en cuestiones de tiempo, used to or would, right? For example, the raccoons before used to live in the forest. Now they live near to the suburbs, cerca a los suburbios, ¿no? So, before and after. La comparación es de tiempo, entonces puedo usar would o puedo usar used. Pero si voy a comparar más miembros, no solo uno y dos, sino más, pues puedo usar, claro, puedo seguir usando unlike, puedo seguir usando in contrast to, pero puedo también incluir except for y except that, ¿vale? Questions there, difficulties, problems, guys, anything?
No, teacher, it's fine.
Listo, guys, very good. Entonces, of course, digamos que el tema de esta clase en general es el contraste, complementariamente a otros conectores de contraste que habíamos visto, como on the other hand, despite, even though, although, right? Digamos que en este más que todo describo como las características que son diferentes, que son opuestas, ¿cierto? Entonces, cuando uso ese tipo de conectores, while, whereas, unlike, bueno, los que ya vimos, ¿listo? Espero, pues, en general son otras formas de conectar mismos tipos de ideas de diferentes tiempos. Esto sirve para el pasado, para el presente, para el futuro. Bueno, used to y would, ya sabemos que estoy comparando pasado y presente, entonces una oración va a ser en pasado y la otra posiblemente en presente, ¿right? Pero cuando uso while, whereas, except that, except for, puede funcionar en cualquier tiempo también. Simplemente es cuestión de comparar dos cosas que son opuestas, ¿vale? Bueno, my dear people, entonces, see you tomorrow. Nos vemos tomorrow at 8 p.m. The same. See you tomorrow at 8. And we continue with the same thing, but talking from a different perspective, okay? So, have a good night. See you tomorrow. Sleep tight. Que duerman bien. Rest.
Thank you, teacher. Bye
Bye,
bye.
Okay.
teacher.
Bye-bye. Have a good night.
Thank you, teacher. See
See you.
you.
Goodbye.